Good day to you, Ninth and O. This is Devotionables, brief devotions for busy people. I'm Brandon, one of your ministry assistants. It's good to be with you today. Adrian Rogers said that God can work without our prayer, but we cannot work without God. It is prayer that causes us to depend upon Him. And it's that prayer to God that David was praying in Psalm 5. Open your Bible and look there with me in Psalm 5. And we find that David is praying to God in verses 1 through 3. Why was David praying? David was praying because the enemies were using their words to attack David at this moment. And to trying to destroy his righteousness. And much of that is happening even today. How prevalent is it that we have so much access to see where people are using their words? Maybe they're hiding behind computer screens and using their words to defame our Christian character. David prays to God. And so in this text, then, we find a comparison of the wicked and the godly. And so throughout we see this comparison of the wicked versus the godly. You know, verse 4 tells us that you are not a God who delights in wickedness. Evil may not dwell with you. And so right out of the gate, David acknowledges God's holiness and that God must deal with sin. And so verses 4 through 8 give us a comparison of the wicked versus the godly. And as you read through this, you'll see the differences between the wicked and the godly. And in verses 9 through 12, David writes for us, in fact, the outcome of those who are wicked versus those who are godly. And so he says for us, I guess if I could say the main point of our psalm today is in verse 8. That says, where David prays, "Lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness because of my enemies. Make your way straight before me." And as I think about that and asking the Lord to lead us in righteousness, it takes me to Proverbs 3, 5 through 6, that tells us to trust in the Lord with all of our heart and to not lean on our own understanding and in some of our ways. No. In all of our ways, we are to acknowledge God and He will make straight our paths. And so as we go today, remember that God can work without our prayer, but we cannot work without God. We need to be men and women of prayer, inviting God into our lives, our situations, our problems, and allow God to work. Often we take it back from God and say, let me work on this myself. But when we give our problems and our concerns to the Lord, let's give them to the Lord and allow Him time to work and to trust Him in that process. God's blessings to you today.